just go ahead right now before we start recording. This also adds a little anonymity for you because we are recording. Go ahead and change your name however you're feeling today, whatever you want to name yourself today. Go ahead and do that now.
You can do yours too, Ty. I changed mine to Stretchy Suze because I am going to be stretching a little bit during this presentation. And we encourage you to get up, stretch, do push-ups, do whatever you want, as long as you stay focused, because we're only going to do this for 30 minutes. So we have some new names, I think. Excellent. So that's a little trick you can use. And here's another slide from our our how to have less Zoom stress training. And we come up with a ton of solutions for these Zoom fatigues in that training. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a little grounding exercise. So you can sit or stand. This exercise can be done in Spanish or English. We'll do it in English today. And it's just a grounding exercise to take a few deep breaths. Go ahead. And return you to the present moment by focusing on senses. So it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So just go ahead, take a deep breath if you haven't already, take another one. And now notice 5 things that you can see in your vicinity. Maybe different distances, something close up, far away, look out the window. Notice 5 things, count them to yourself, name them to yourself. It's grounding you in this present moment. Now recognize 3 things that you can touch. So you can feel the clothes on your skin. Go ahead, reach out and touch something, maybe something with a different texture. Notice the texture. This is a great exercise also for kids. So 4 things, you're up to 4 by now. Now 3 things that you can hear. So one might be the sound of my voice, but what else? What else can you hear? 3 things, name them. We're moving fast. 2 things that you can smell. You can engineer that by lifting your tea or your coffee up and giving it a sniff. Keep breathing. Take a deep breath if you're forgetting to do those deep belly breaths while you ground yourself. And then finally, 1 thing that you can taste. You can engineer this as well, but 1 thing that you can notice that you're tasting. So that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Atención plena is sort of the term for mindfulness in Spanish. It's just non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. We like to work mindfulness into all of our trainings. So glad you could join us for that exercise today. So Ty, let's introduce ourselves. Your turn.
Always forget to take myself off of mute. Okay, everyone. My name is Tyecia or Ty Powell. If you can see up there, some days I feel like the Mad Hatter, craziness going on, but it all makes sense. But today I'm feeling fantastic. Okay, so I'm Ty Powell. I am a native Baltimorean, an educator, former athletic coach, current fitness instructor, wellness coach. I see my old Tacoma Park people out there. Hi. I see a practitioner that's taking my Pilates class, so you'll find out more about that. I am a questioner by nature through and through, which also led me to my work on my dissertation, where you see here the topic is Whole Leaders Create Whole Schools. I am a strong, strong advocate for this work individually and with teams. I'm an advocate and a student of this work as I'm currently doing my own rumbling with my own anxiety. Or I probably should say my mouth guard is doing more rumbling with my anxiety right now than I am. But this pandemic has brought that up for me as well too. So I've been doing a lot of research and revisiting a lot of the materials that we use here to also, as I grow in this area of my journey. I am passionate about team wellness from being the oldest of 5 and just playing sports all my life, as well as I am on my journey of self-growth and teaching others to show love or show mindfulness and sow that into others. So that's a little bit about me. I am going to kick it over to Susan.
I'm Susan. I always forget the mute button. So after 25 years in nonprofits, I decided to do more wellness with nonprofits. And Ty is the perfect partner for me since her background is really in schools. And we love to serve schools and nonprofits with this work because we didn't have it when we were busy burning out doing world-changing work. I have learned I'm an obliger. If you learn more about team tendencies, you can find out what that means, that she's a questioner and I'm an obliger. It means we make a great team. And Ty and I actually met when I led the wellness pilot, the equity pilot that we ran with 60 participants from 12 nonprofits here in DC. Ty was an amazing contributor to that pilot, and we bonded over many levels and decided we needed to work together to adapt this curriculum for nonprofits and schools alike. We're both passionate about team care, meaning it's communities and social connection that really drives our nervous system, as well as the care that we need during crazy, stressful times. I have had a lot of rumbles with transitions and stress management during them, both this latest transition into starting in a new arena professionally, but also throughout my years in the nonprofit world. I thought it was stressful enough just trying to change the world, and then doing anti-oppression work and finding out how stressful that is, and doing, having kids and getting divorced and all of the personal stress that comes along with life transitions, right? So like Tycia, I'm rumbling with all of this as well. And we feel like we've hit upon some tools that we think will be helpful for you here today, but also your teams that you're going to take it back to. So just to go over, set our expectations so that we can meet them, hopefully. Ty will go over the goals that we hope to achieve with you in the next 3 minutes.
So the educator and me always want to set objectives. So here are your objectives right now. We're going to introduce nonprofit wellness, who we are, and we're going to do that in a way where we're reviewing our favorite tools that spark self-care and team care. And then by the end of this, hopefully you will determine which trainings are best for you and your team. And we're excited about this. A couple key things here. Please, please, please engage with us. There'll be time to cut off your mic if you at any point engage in all of the activities that we have. We would love to see your beautiful smiling faces. So if you want to cut your cameras on, that's great. And the last thing, be present with us for this 30 minutes. This will be the fastest session Susan and I have done, but be present with us. We're going to have fun with it.
Great. And as you can see, I'm stretching because I can't do anything sitting still too long, but to set sort of more of the reframing mood. And we want you to get up, stretch, do push-ups, do mindful breathing, whatever it is you can do during this to have double effect. We already had anxiety, right? Even before COVID. And like I said, in our careers, especially being world changers, right, that many of us are in nonprofits or in schools. But then, of course, this year hit, and we know that we have additional stress on top of things that are happening worldwide, not just in our city, like a tornado might hit, or a particular election in a particular year. But we're all dealing with global warming, pandemic, anxiety around normal work and family pressures, but that are magnified now at a societal level. And so we cannot ignore this work anymore. Just on the theory of what we do, we talk about red plus blue makes purple, which basically means that, let me see if this red area here is about exercise and moving your body and how you sleep and rest and what you eat and drink, right? How you take care of your physical body. That's what wellness conversations tend to be, and that's great. Mental health is a little dicier. We tend not to be as vulnerable there, but there are many things that make up our mental health, and many of them are positive leaning. And if we discuss them with each other, we could support each other in making them happen. But our thing is, if you talk about the red, you talk about the blue, that makes purple, because we bond as teams when we do things that are challenging together. We bond as teams when we know more about each other. And when we're courageous enough, as Brene Brown says, to make ourselves vulnerable, we then inspire empathy, and that builds trust. And that's the elusive golden element of any team working together. So I could talk forever about that, but we're just grazing the surface here. And first, and we want to do a poll with you and maybe a chat box reflection. Ty, what should we do here?
All right. So in all of our sessions, you're always going to get that interaction piece. We love to interact with everyone that we work with. So today we're actually going to use a poll to do our interaction today. I feel like we use the chat often, and a lot of people use the chat, and you know how to use that. But polls can be so good, and this is also a part of our Zoom fatigue. Polls can be so good at gathering data. You really should utilize this tool. So your poll for today, I see some answers coming in, is about your physical wellness. What did you do for your physical wellness today? So I see this is a true false poll. I see the answers coming in. Think about in your organization, some questions and things you want to know the answer to. This is a great way to make sure your teammates aren't on Amazon and actually engaged and paying attention to the screen, but great way to, again, gather data.
And we'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, and we'll share the results. Do you want people to enter anything in the chat box while we share this?
I think we can talk it out right here, Susan.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a lot of people got high quality sleep last night. That's fantastic. Can you see the results? I want to make sure what I can see, you can see. Good.
Really?
And a majority ate 2 fruit or vegetable servings today. That's fantastic. Our Immune Boosters training talks about why vegetables and fruits are so important. And then exercise, we have a mixed bag, Ty. I think we should get that done in the training.
Absolutely. I have something ready.
Excellent. Should we keep going? This is a good way to ask questions of your team. Put it in the chat box. You could take yourself off mute and talk about it. We won't right now, but it's a great way to kind of get into people's lives and share great ideas about how to handle stress during a pandemic. So moving on to, Ty will do something a little more physical with you in a second, but this is our first tool, and you can download, I put it in the chat box, you can download at this link, all of these tools that we're talking about. So you can just kind of take it in now and download it later. But basically the personal stress prescription is going to be your first tool to really get grounded in self-care. What is it that you need to do for you? It's very personal, right? You can't fill out somebody else's prescription. And what we advocate is set a goal, a small one, that's time bound. What's the littlest thing, the littlest increment you can do to increase or maybe decrease those things by when? Time-bound goals and small goals that give you that hit of dopamine when you achieve them are really important in habit change science. We talk about that in training 3. But this is just our first training where we go over neuroscience of stress, and then how are you going to make that happen right away. And Ty, you've talked about how you put this up on your refrigerator, you put it up on your bathroom mirror, or maybe those are your Post-it notes. And this is something you can revisit from time to time because things change and you need different medicines. And also in this training, we talk about how the pleasure principle is not just my ode to Janet Jackson from growing up in the 80s, and also Sigmund Freud, who came up with the term, but those are the addictive pleasures that we often turn to for stress relief. So screens, alcohol, things like that, that we need to maybe moderate in certain ways. I think that's enough for now. Ty, you love the immune boosters. Whoops, do you want to talk about that?
All right, everyone. So before I get into this, Susan, I'm going to always sneak in some exercise, okay? So if you can, please get up out of this chair. One of my favorite exercises is squats. I absolutely love squats, okay? Squats are a thing that you're doing all day, right? You're sitting down, you're standing up, but sometimes our posture is so bad. So guess what? While I go over this entire slide, you're going to do squats. Yes, look at the exciting faces right now. So make sure your feet are about hip width distance apart. Okay, try not to lean over your back. Okay, you're going to push your hips back and keep that chest up. Take a deep inhale when you come up. Exhale, squeeze your glutes and push your hips forward. So nice and slow, nice and controlled. Keep those squats going as I go over this slide, okay? So Kobe Bryant has this quote that says, it is time for us to reset, rehabilitate, and come back stronger. And this is the mantra that he used. Hey, keep it going. This is the mantra that he used whenever he would get hurt. where I took that mantra and said, you know what, this applies to this situation right now. This is our time to reset. We are going to reset, rehabilitate, and come back stronger. And one of the ways we can do that is by filling that prescription. Susan just talked about that prescription, which is a powerful tool. But another way you can fill that prescription is with our immune booster sessions. Hey, keep going. Look at that. I see a couple people know how to do squats. Okay. This is your exercise for the day since a lot of you didn't get it. Okay. So the immune boosting session gives you strategies for your mental and physical wellness. We have 15 research-based immune boosting strategies. The Baltimore is coming out of me, which English and in Spanish. You will be able to walk away with these phenomenal tips that you can implement immediately, like eating mushrooms. Mind you, I will never talk about mushrooms. I get a nasty taste in my mouth just talking about mushrooms. That is all Susan's deal. But I have 14 other immune boosters that I can do here, okay? And while we are not medical professionals, these are tried and true strategies that we have researched and tried on ourselves. So this is one of my favorite sessions right here. Okay, you're done with squats. Give yourself a round of applause. I'm so proud of you. Now, if we go back and do that poll, everybody will be at 100%. You know, that's why data is important, Susan. So now I know you didn't exercise and I threw that in there. So that is a part of what we do. We like to create these sessions to fit our audience. Okay. And another way, when we talk about setting our prescription, the prescription scorecard kind of is like the eye. You look in yourself, you reflect on yourself. Hey, I need to increase one area, decrease in some other areas. Now, the stressor scorecard to me takes kind of like a deeper look to how you show up to a space for me. So taking those things that we talked about personally, we could take it to a bigger a sector when we talk about identity and circumstances. So one step is to assess your stress. And we use the stressor scorecard to do this. Now, this again goes with our neuroscience because it talks about the cortisol, it talks about your health, and different things like that in this training. And this training is about reducing and reframing your stress. So we're not just going to give you this scorecard and say, hey, you have stress. We're going to get you to reframe it, look at it, address it, reflect it, name it, and then we're going to help you come up with solutions for it. So in the normal training, you will get your score, 0, 1, or talk about it. And this is very similar to ACE, and we're not really going to get into ACE today, but your ACE scores, but they have ACE scores for kids or young adults, but they really don't have this tool for adults. And that's why Susan created this tool, because it's a good way for that reflection of who am I in this space. Brene Brown writes, she writes this, and you know, you can't talk mindfulness without talking Brene Brown, right? But Brene Brown writes, it is utter courage that allows people to make themselves vulnerable, and that spurs empathy, which spurs trust. And so this is why we use this with teams. If I can identify and I can say, hey, this is impacting me too, or I can see why that's impacting you, it creates this different vulnerability and trust amongst the team. Awesome tool, awesome tool. I would love to work with you all with this. And Susan's going to talk a little bit more about the neuroscience behind it and what that session would look like.
I promise not to get too much into it, but we encourage understanding of the central nervous system and basic neuroscience so that we can get to the why. Why do we have to create new systems, right, for team care and self-care? Why do I have to make time for this? And so the basic thing I'll say here is that we're all about that parasympathetic, really the ventral vagal parasympathetic nervous system, the top of that ladder, the polyvagal ladder, where we're in the optimal zone of arousal. Hopefully you're in it right now. You're not in fight or flight. You're in a state where you're not too tired, not too hyped up, and learning and planning can happen here. Maybe you're planning your own wellness efforts for your team right now. Maybe you're being really present and soaking up these practices so that you can practice them with your team. And maybe your team is your family. Maybe it's your work team. Maybe it's a far-flung team across the globe, which now through online trainings, we have the ability to come together. But everything looks a little different for our nervous system because we can't gather the clues that we do normally gather through our vagal nerves to sense safety. It's called neuroception, and that's what makes us feel safe and social. are these clues that we get from being around other people, from tending children and befriending others. It's that, green rest and digest mode of our nervous system that we need to get to. And so all of our trainings are really about how do we put things in the framework of our nervous system, because whether I'm more stressed about my personal issues, or Ty is more stressed about her parenting issues, it's still stress on our bodies. And, that stressor scorecard brings everybody into the conversation, whether they've suffered traditional oppression or not, because we all have stress in our lives and it feels that way in our bodies. So just one more exercise that I want to do that basically reteaches you the language of your nervous system. It's called box breathing. And those of you in our trainings have probably done this before. We'll only do one round because we have 7 minutes left. But this is super important if you only remember one thing. Remember that breath speaks the language of your nervous system, not English, no español. It's breath, respirando. So you're going to breathe in and hold the breath, and then breathe out, and then hold and pause there before you breathe in again. And each time is going to be a count of 4 seconds or 4 claps. So go ahead and breathe everything out. We'll do it together and breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold it. 2, and breathe out. 2, 4, and pause. 2. Let's do one more round. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, and exhale, and pause. So that just brings some balance. That parachute is to remind you of the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the part that slows you down and saves your life. That's how you can remember. But breath is your way to communicate. If you need energy, your yawn, your extended inhalation will give you more energy. If you want to relax your body, tell your nervous system to slow down by lengthening your exhalation. These are more practices that we go over in our trainings, because you can't have too many tools, right, for your nervous system and for your stress management. This is one that if you practice it just a little bit, your body's going to kick in right away. So we absolutely encourage that as a practice.
So remember I said we have this mantra, or, I have this mantra that I'm trying to get Susan to adopt, but that reset, rehabilitate, and come back stronger. I feel like that's what the habit change model is. How do we reset and rehabilitate ourselves, And so everything that we do, all of our trainers are trying to get you to change a habit or incorporate a new habit, whether that's exercise, which we tend to pair this more with the exercise piece of it, because as we can see from our data, that's usually the lowest place, but this goes with so much of the work that we do. How are you changing a habit? And we recognize through this cycle, the different phases. We take you through that cycle. We let you know that, hey, it is okay no matter what phase of this cycle you're in. And it's circular for a reason. You're going to go round and round a couple times until this thing stick. And Susan will talk about, how the brain works and how long it takes for something to change and different things like that. But the habit change model is something that we all live by, we all go through together, and we hold each other accountable. Where are you, Ty? Are you in the action phase? Are you doing what you set out to do? Since the beginning of the pandemic, Susan has been trying to get me to get my bike fixed. I don't know why it has not gotten done, but she stayed on top of me about doing this. But I have been exercising, just not with my bike. But I am okay, and I can accept, hey, I'm still in that contemplation phase of that bike journey, but I'm going to get to that action and go phase. Okay, so Susan, why don't you wrap us up with the tree training?
Yeah, this is just a way that Tycia we've been playing with this metaphor of trees for 10 months now. Some of you were at our training last December in person at Busboys. But basically, things bring you stress in life. Those winds, they blow, and sometimes you don't know what's coming. But things that bring you stress, like your health or your family or your work, they also bring you joy. And so that reframing of stress is something I've been working a ton on. How do we transfer our language, our self-language and our self-talk, but also how do we harness that energy of stress to fight, right? To fight the good fight. Kelly McGonigal has a great TED Talk on making stress your friend. It's that kind of reframing, but we are now in a societal daily reframing of stress, and those things that we are very grateful for, that we're aware of for the first time, like, oh, I'm really grateful that I have a home, even though money is still really tight and it's a source of stress for me, right? So we can recognize the stress and the joy. And just like when Tycia would talk about being a person of color in our society and how, yes, that does bring stress, but also being a part of that community brings joy. I'm an LGBTQ person in society. That doesn't bring me that much stress, but it happens to bring me a lot of great joy. And I recognize that and talk about that and connect with other people about that. So we have to reframe, what is it we're grateful for? What is it we need to address in terms of our stress? And in our team care session, we go over a lot of the tools of assessment and plus Delta charts and setting goals so that you can bring that back to your team and do stuff with your team. And then in the fourth training, Ty, I'll let you talk about it because you're the exercise professional much more than I.
So, I have a couple practitioners that have taken my Pilates class on here, and they've heard me say this time and time again. This is your journey. This is your journey. This is your race. Okay. And when it comes to your health and well-being, regular exercise, and that's mental exercise and physical exercise, is about as close to a magic potion as you can get. This process that we take you through, any of these trainings, these processes, they're personal. They're personal. And as we talk about your personal physical wellness journey and your exercise story, I want you all to leave here understanding that, Susan and I have worked hard, gathering information, using data, and like I said, being students of this work to find that magic potion that works for us and that works for other people. And it's going to be up to you how you mix and match, how you find that right potion for you and your team. And, we have so much here, as Susan has up on the screen. We have so much here for you to choose from, but we would love to go deeper into, some of the samplers that we just showed you. And I'll let Susan talk more about the trainings and the skill shops that we have.
Yeah, I mean, you see it on the screen. We just went through kind of a speed round of what we cover in the first 4 tree trainings. And that's kind of our core curriculum, the things that we keep coming back to that we want most teams to get access to and to gain the benefit from. Those are great when you go through them with your own group, because then you're starting to talk about these conversations in a facilitated setting. But you can also just send one person to the training and that person comes back and says, here are the 5 out of 15 things that are going to work for our team. We try to model stuff like we did today. But when we have a full 45 minutes plus 15 minutes of Q&A, we can do a lot in an hour. And then the skill shops are on the right. Those are with external trainers like Gabby and her Spark team, and Latin dance professionals and artists. And some are, jugglers. Some are ones that we've developed. Oh, see, it's our timer to stop this training. Some we've developed, like having less Zoom stress and the immune boosters that Ty talked about. But those skill shops are going deep on a particular topic with experts that you can book, through us also. So that's the basic gist. Here are the dates for our tree trainings. It's only $35 per person if you come as an individual. And then some funders are covering the cost of it for some of their grantees. Let us know if you need info about that. And then keep in touch with us on social media. Ty, I didn't put your social media on there because I didn't know if you wanted people following you or just through Nonprofit Wellness, but we're available and love to talk with you more.
You can always follow me and look at baby pictures.
My kids don't let me put them on social media, so we all have to follow your baby and get comfort from that.
I will say I'm super excited about the tree trainings. I think we did Wellness Wednesdays before. We have to come up with some nice name. Katie, you got to help us out with that for Tuesdays, terrific Tuesday trainings. I don't know, but I'm excited about having those 4 dates on the, and hopefully we will see some of you there. We want to leave the last couple of minutes, for any questions, any comments, any feedback, and just hang out with us for the next couple minutes. But don't forget,
we're getting a lot of thank yous in the chat. You're welcome to log off. We promised you 30 minutes and we came in at 29. Start on time, end on time, big value. And, download our stuff, go to the website. But yes, please stay. And I'm going to stop the recording and stop sharing so that we can